Hey everybody, welcome back to Yarn as a Second Language. This is the Unraveled Web, a crochet mystery, the next stitch. This is chapter 2. If you haven't seen or listened to chapter 1, make sure you go back, watch that one, because it has a lot of the backstory that you'll need for this chapter. This is part of a 5-chapter series, so this is 2 of 5, and this one and the next 3 are amazing. I'm really happy with how they turned out. So, if you haven't seen number 1, go see that. While we're doing that, while the story's going, I will be crocheting a doily. This is not a step-by-step tutorial. If you would like to see a step-by-step tutorial, the link will be in the description below. Feel free to click on that and it'll take you straight to that video. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Share the video, please, and also hit that like button. As I said all the time, it helps more than you can realize. All right. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump to the video.
The Unraveled Web, a crochet mystery, the next stitch, chapter 2. Weeks had passed since Mrs. Peterson's arrest, but the sense of betrayal lingered like a stubborn knot in Eliza's chest. Every time she passed the now empty cottage on the outskirts of Willow Creek, she couldn't help but wonder how deep the deception had run. Mrs. Peterson's confession about stealing designs was shocking enough, but Eliza knew there had to be more lurking beneath the surface. After all, a lone woman with limited resources couldn't have been pulling off museum thefts for years. Could she? Back at the cozy skein, Eliza tried to bury herself in work. New patterns, fresh ideas, and projects filled her days. But there was always a nagging thought at the back of her mind. Was there someone else involved? Or had Mrs. Peterson acted entirely alone? One afternoon, just as Eliza was closing up shop, the door swung open. To her surprise, it was Detective Harris again. But this time, he wasn't alone. Standing beside him was a young woman, petite and nervously clutching her purse. "Eliza," the detective began, his expression more serious than usual. "We need your help again." Eliza's heart skipped a beat. She motioned for them to come in, her mind already racing with possibilities. "This is Claire," Harris introduced the young woman. "She's Mrs. Peterson's granddaughter." Claire, who had been silent until now, looked up with wide, tearful eyes. "I didn't know what my grandmother was doing," she said in a shaky voice. "But after the arrest, I found something in her attic. It's important." Claire reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope, handing it to Eliza. Inside was a letter, written in Mrs. Peterson's elegant cursive, detailing something far more sinister than anyone had imagined. "I wasn't just copying designs," the letter began. "I was working for someone who promised to pay me well in exchange for the secrets hidden in those archives. But they're dangerous, Eliza. They're coming for the designs next. Beware the web." Eliza's hands trembled as she read the cryptic note aloud. "The web?" she asked, looking up at Detective Harris. "It's a local legend," Harris replied, his tone grim. "An underground network of art and artifact thieves. They specialize in targeting small towns like Willow Creek, where security is lax, but the treasures are valuable." Eliza's blood ran cold. So Mrs. Peterson wasn't acting alone. She was part of something much bigger. Claire nodded. "I think my grandmother is in over her head. She was always obsessed with puzzles, and she must have thought she could outsmart them. But now, they're coming for what she couldn't deliver." Eliza's thoughts swirled. She'd never imagined her quiet life of yarn and patterns would intersect with something so dangerous. But there was no turning back now. "Did she mention anything else? Any names?" Eliza asked, her mind racing. Claire shook her head. "No, just that. But she did leave behind one last pattern unfinished. Eliza took the crumbled pattern from Claire's hand and studied it. At first glance, it looked like a regular crochet chart, but as she examined the symbols more closely, something clicked. There wasn't just a pattern, it was a code. Hidden within the stitches was a map, a trail leading to something or someone. "We need to decode this," Eliza whispered, feeling the weight of the mystery deepening. This pattern could lead us to the web. The next few days were a blur of research and decoding. Eliza, Claire, and Detective Harris worked tirelessly to crack the cryptic crochet pattern. Each stitch revealed a new clue, leading them deeper into the mystery. They discovered that the web wasn't just after artifacts. They were after something more valuable, ancient designs that held secrets of forgotten cultures. Eliza's own designs, the ones Mrs. Peterson had been recreating, were part of this legacy. Somehow, her patterns were linked to the very thing the web sought. But how? And why? The final piece of the puzzle came one evening when Eliza, exhausted from the day's work, realized that the shawl she had crocheted the night of Mrs. Peterson's arrest held the answers. The colors, the stitches, it was all connected. "Eliza," Detective Harris said as he studied the shawl, "this isn't just a coincidence. Someone's been guiding you all along." The revelation hit her like a freight train. Mrs. Peterson had been more than a thief. She had been a messenger. The web had been using her to lure Eliza into the trap. And now, with the last stitch decoded, Eliza realized they were closer than ever. That night, Eliza locked up the cozy skein with a heavy heart. She knew the web was watching. The final showdown was coming, and she was at the center of it. As she walked home, the streetlights flickered, casting long shadows on the cobblestone road. Suddenly, a figure stepped out of the alleyway. It was a man, tall and thin, with piercing eyes that glinted in the dim light. "Eliza," he said in a smooth, cold voice, "I believe you have something that belongs to us." Before she could react, two more figures emerged from the darkness, blocking her path. Eliza's heart pounded in her chest. She had walked into the trap. But Eliza wasn't without her own tricks. She reached into her bag, pulling out a skein of yarn, the one that held the final piece of the coded pattern. With a flick of her wrist, she unraveled the yarn, revealing a hidden blade within the fibers. "You're not getting away with this," she said, her voice steady. The man smirked. "Oh, we already have." Just then, Detective Harris and his team appeared, surrounding the figures. "Drop the yarn," Harris ordered, his gun drawn. The web's members hesitated, realizing that they had been outplayed. In a swift move, the detective's team apprehended them, and the web's grip on the Willow Creek unraveled like a poorly made scarf. As the last of the figures was led away in handcuffs, Eliza exhaled in relief. The web had been defeated, for now. But as she stood in the quiet street, Eliza couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end. The web had many threads, and she had only just begun to untangle them. The next chapter of mystery awaited, and Eliza knew she'd be ready.
Make sure you tune in next week for Chapter 3 in the Unraveled Web, a Crochet Mystery. I appreciate you all tuning in today and watching the video. Like I said before, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Also share the video and hit that like button as well. And for those of you who like these type of stories, let me know in the comment section, what do you think is going to happen in the next episode? What do you think Eliza is going to deal with and go through in Chapter 3? All right, thank you guys again for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys at the next video. Adios.